From day old to culling, both in layers and broilers, it is a big issue, and unfortunately, we nutritionists are being pulled out to answer for lameness. So, what we are losing, this is very modest estimate. The percentage higher level may be more also. This is due to my experience. I've just made a guesstimate about 770 crores we'll be losing per annum, which is very modest calculation. So what are the common skeletal problems I've listed? And quite oftenly I am seeing now is the femoral necrosis, osteomyelitis. This is very commonly seen. Then fractures in the spinal cord leading to duck sitting posture. So these are the commonly observed in broilers. Cage layer fatigue or any complication regarding that in case of layers, this is quite oftenly we encounter. So naturally these are some of the causes which I am listed out. Nutrition everybody knows. Why I am saying, justifying that I am being pulled out, and why I wanted to say nutritionist need not answer for that, because every farmer knows how to balance his feed. Deficiency is very rare unless in extreme cases. Overall we can say it is only 2% of the overall lameness problem. So bacterial causes, viral causes, nutritional causes. So you can see that arthritis in broiler in experimentally infected Staphylococcus, a recently published paper from China, and main culprit is staph. Enterococcus cecorum, especially in northern Germany, a field report where they have found that nearly, you can see, about in 33 days of age, about 7.2% of the mortality was due to that. And you can see different reports where from Canada, you can see the spinal cord lesions, and there also you can see different, because of Enterococcus cecorum infection, you can see the classification based on that. And the latest stage, femoral necrosis, is a major problem. Osteomyelitis is also a major problem. Again, even in 1993, subclinical infection of these bacterial chondronecrosis and osteomyelitis has been observed to be 10 to 15% of the overall problem. So worldwide, lameness is of BCO, bacterial chondronecrosis, osteomyelitis, and osteomyelitis is a major problem. But still, in India, nutritionists are being pulled out to answer for this. Here also you can see femoral necrosis, vertebral, the condyle being affected. You can see the junction, a fracture in that. And again, femoral necrosis is osteomyelitis. You can see the duck sitting posture due to the vertebral, so spinal infection. Again, colibacillus, E. coli is also a culprit. Even in our thing, when we took swabs from affected birds, we also found, apart from staph, E. coli was there. Infectious synovitis. Now MS is a major problem. MG they are taking care in the breeders. MS is a recurring problem where infectious synovitis is quite commonly seen. MS along with E. coli. Fungal. So it starts in as a mild inflammation, complicated by E. coli as well as Staphylococcus in late stages where you get the bumblefoot. If bacterial is the possible thing, what may be the source or cause? I did a survey about, because once we wanted to find if bacterial is the major cause for lameness, so you can see that the Clostridium content and Staphylococcus and E. coli was estimated. In de-oiled rice bran, 80% of the samples was positive for Staphylococcus. Feed, 80% of the samples were positive for Staphylococcus. E. coli was also there, but not to the level of Staphylococcus and Clostridium. The feed ingredient and feed was the major source. To find out what is happening in the feed mill, so we took tests from different places. So too numerous to count. TNS, coliforms as well as Staphylococcus, you can see. That is the condition in the feed mill, what to do. Again, shed split exposure. In layer farms, we wanted to find out what is happening. You can see, generally what my guru, Dr. A.T. Venugopal used to say, it should be 10 CFU, below 10 CFU. Anytime, any given point of time when the birds are there in the shed, not in the empty shed. Empty shed, it should be nil count. These are plate exposure done in sheds where birds were there. You can see, below 10 CFU, only 2% of the farms for coliforms was there, whereas in Staphylococcus and mold, none of the farms are below 10 CFU. And you can see what is the level of contamination in the sheds. Breeder, plate exposure. So below 10 CFU, in coliforms there are only 3% of the farm, whereas rest were zero. And Staphylococcus is a major problem. So naturally, the carryover effect is there. So generally they used to say that it is coming from the feed. Fine. If it's coming from the feed, yes, it may be. But why it is lingering in the shed? What is the sanitation measures they are taking? What is happening in the hatchery? You can see, in the hatchery you can see the Staphylococcus level. So here, in this unit, 3% were normally, minimum was 3% lameness. Maximum it may go up to 78%. Once this was taken care, later, when Staff was brought down to nil count. Now not even 0.1% lameness we used to get. So we used to have a clash between the farm veterinarian and the who was also in charge of the hatchery. You correct the feed, we will not get the problem. Fine. What about the hatchery? Once this was corrected, even the sheds were not fully controlled, but lameness stopped. And anything lameness concerned with feed, nutrition. Reovirus, again, painful joints, reluctant to walk, again, it is coming back to us. Marex, they'll accept, they don't blame us. Generally, it is there. ND, especially, this is one case which we have to rule out, where you can see a HA titers. Because when we did try to match the calcium or try to supplement with calcium and phosphorus, it didn't respond. I asked them to go for HA titer for brain, because daily used to get 10 or 15 birds, lame birds in 27 weeks. The production was excellent, 97%, 96%. So he thought that at such a level of production, calcium may be deficient, D3 may be deficient, everything was supplemented, none gave any good result. So they think if it is a disease, how I can get such a production? Always these birds are machines. That's what I used to tell. They are machines. They mislead us. Not all the birds are affected. Only the affected birds are suffering. Others, they are not affected. So they may get the infection later. And doing an HA titer is very easy. Again, in case of VVND or LPA, whatever we call, pancreas is one of the target organ which we found. Because suddenly not in a very LPA, when a subacute, subclinical level, lameness was a problem. Because pancreas gets inflamed in the early stages. The blood glucose level from the normal level in case of bird is 225 mg per deciliter, 100 ml. It comes down to below 50. So naturally, the dizziness, the brain has to utilize glucose only. It cannot utilize any other source. The bird sits. So naturally, it is presumed as lameness. Generally, the clash was there. Whenever they give supplement calcium and phosphorus through feed, no effect. But when it given in water, the liquid calcium supplementation, immediately it responds. Then I told one of the farmer where he had 2 sheds. In one you give this calcium supplementation, another you give only dextrose solution, glucose. Both responded. Because it is not the calcium, phosphorus or D3 that was working, it was the dextrose in the solution as a sweetener was able to reduce the lameness. So this is the main reason. In the early stages of infection, when pancreas becomes the target organ, lameness is a problem. Now we don't find much of this. Early stages we had that problem. So slowly the inflammation increases, then necrosis starts. You can see the pancreas, later stages. At this stage, when pancreas is nearly out, the blood glucose reaches even 500 mg per deciliter. It is like equal to diabetes because they are now insulin. So this is a case which we have been observing early stages. Now it's not a problem. So natural death after that. So when the causes are overwhelmingly infective, in case of lameness, still the first call comes to the nutritionist for me. So we have to answer. So to exonerate me, to save myself, I had to go deep to find out what was the actual reason. So then I had to work in all the sides and find out that now it is 98% non-nutritional, infective origin. So that is where we have to concentrate if we are going to reduce the lameness. Otherwise, nutritionally, whatever we do, some palliative measures are there which I'll tell in some of the experiments we found. But that is not a permanent solution. So naturally, we used to say, that's what I used to tell my farmer also. Yes, if you think it is nutritional, I will increase about 200 to 300 rupees per ton of feed, that's all. What I can do, I cannot put any mantra or something. I'll ask, increase the D3, increase some DCV or something, which is not going to work. So phytase is one thing where somewhere, that 2% I told you, nutritional. Because in mash feed, it's not an issue. In pellet feed, when you compromise on that, if you are not sure that it is heat stable, and in several cases we have found that when they went for a economical phytase, which was certified as heat stable, it miserably failed. So phytase, you should be very careful in choosing. If you are going for a pellet feed, don't compromise on phytase. It is not the cost, ultimately. You have to rely on the company. That is very important. Otherwise, it will be disastrous. So you can see here, in case of, I think, a wide study, where it was fortified with 25-hydroxy D3. So it was, you can see the impact of fortifying the diet with D3 in water as well as feed, both. You can see that. How in the end, in TD, typical dyschondroplasia, A is unsupplemented, B is supplemented. Nearly, it was 20% there, it is nil. Femoral necrosis, which is the current problem, major problem wherever we go is from day one I'm seeing femoral necrosis. Even a day-old chick, I'm able to see that. Not only the end. From 100% FHN, it is coming to 65%, at least 35% it is able to reduce. Similarly, spondylolisthesis, you can see there is an increase there, but anyhow, some impact is there. Vulgus and varus, so there are also reduction. So the tricky thing is that these nutritional supplementation, like supplementing, they'll say, no, we supplemented B complex. Yes, they reduce the stress impact, but that is not a permanent solution. If it is a deficient in B complex, how are you going to get that particular growth in good birds? Non-infected birds are giving excellent performance. 35 days, it is causing 2.2 kg. How is it possible if it is the feed entirely was deficient in B complex or D3? You increase it, it may be able to reduce the thing, that's all, which are mildly infected. But overall, it cannot save. So you have to work on the sanitation part, infective part. Otherwise, it is not going to help at all. Cage layer fatigue, this is quite commonly seen, especially that I told you, you have to differentiate between rannicate disease and the actual cage layer fatigue. Okay, what is the thing? So even earlier we used to say only by beyond 60 weeks, cage layer fatigue is a problem. But now it is not so. Even in 25 weeks, 26 weeks, once it crosses 93, 94%, we are facing the problem. So always challenge feeding with grits is imminent. That is the only solution. Calcium is the cheapest nutrient, because I used to say, now calcium is the most critical nutrient, then only energy comes. The modern day layer, calcium is the most critical nutrient. You have to meet the calcium requirement first. Make provisions for that. Then only you have to concentrate on others. Supplementary calcium, apart from that, is it needed only in above 60 weeks? No. From 26 also, we have started. Challenge feeding of grit by afternoon. You top it with 2 grams of grit, eatable grits. Next day you see, if it is there, don't add. If it is not there, because when the feeder is empty, at least 1 or 2 eatable grit should be there in front of each bird. If it is not there, you have to challenge. So that is it. So when the farmer asks me how much to add extra, I don't know. You keep on challenging. In one case, we went up to 19 grams per hen per day. When he crossed about 8 grams per hen per day, he was afraid, because there was a thing, they don't know, gout will be a big problem. So don't be careful. He started a thing, because urolithiasis is a problem, not in layers, but in chicken growers if you are not careful about calcium and phosphorus. In layers, it is calcium is separate, phosphorus separate. Each is individual. Once the egg production starts, hormonal changes, it will take care of the calcium and balance. So don't bother about challenging. That's what I'm saying. In one farm, we went up to 19 grams per hen per day. Once it reached 19 grams only, it plateaued. After that, within a day or two, it came to 2 grams per day. So what is the point is that you have to match the calcium need. You can keep on challenging, nothing will happen. Otherwise, urolithiasis is not going to happen in layers. If your chicken grower management is faulty, high calcium diet you are fed, then urolithiasis happens in layers. Or else, in layers, high calcium is not going to affect. And there also, you can see the ureters are filled with yellow fluid. You can differentiate. Make a puncture. If you check in the microscope, if it is amorphous globules are there, it is calcium. If it is crystalline, it is uric acid. So that is the difference. You can see urolithiasis is not possible in layers when chicken growers are taken care of properly. So you have to challenge, you have to meet the calcium need of the bird, or else it's going to be an issue. So coming to the conclusion. So pelleting cannot be assumed to reduce, and to reduce the bacterial load in the feed. You cannot assume that pelleting, your pellet will be free of this. The exposure of 30 seconds of steam at 85 degrees is not going to help anyway. You have to have other means. Good acidification program you have to have. And probiotic helps very much because of competitive exclusion. Continuous addition of probiotic, which are heat stable in case of pelleting, is imminent. If you are doing that, the feed part will be taken care of. Then feed mill sanitation also. Every week we do feed mill sanitation. 1 ton of de-oiled rice bran with 1.5 liter of formaldehyde mixed in 3.5 liter of water, 5 liters. Spray in 1 ton of de-oiled rice bran. Then pass it. Entire run from dumping pit It has to go throughout, go to the mixer, then it has to come out. We keep on doing it again and again. So weekly once if we do, it will reduce the microbial load in the various parts of the milling process. Otherwise, it will keep on accumulating and contributing to the... So, changes in management. Then that is more important. The farm management monitoring system should be in place every month, at least monthly once, plate exposure, testing the water. That is very important. And reducing it by proper sanitized spraying. So it should be always below 10 CFU. If you are able to maintain that, you can forget about the infective part of lameness. We have reduced in several places. Lameness has come down to 0.1 to 0.2%. So plate exposure always, that is very important. And this gives excellent results. Thank you.